who's Director of Football at the Football Association, to tell us about the rise in women's football and just what's happened this year, because it's quite astounding. Sue.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure and a privilege to have an opportunity to speak to you. And Phil and Claire, thank you very much for putting this on and doing such a splendid job, and for inviting me to bore these people to death for the next 10 minutes. I just want to say to begin with that these images around the room stir in me the most incredible emotion. I don't know how many of you shared those moments, but Mary there dancing on the table at the press conference. Bruce round the corner here doing that back heel, which she never will do again probably, but brilliant. Beth played out of her skin, and Chloe took her shirt off. So all in all, those generate in me the most amazing emotion. And all of us have difficult jobs, and at times at the FA it's not been the easiest of jobs. But that moment was the payback. That moment was the And some of you may know that for 10 years I was the chair of UK sport during our Olympics, through from Athens to Beijing and on into London. And then the golf course was calling me when Martin Glenn called me. And Martin was the chief exec of the FA, and when I took the job at the FA, there were a lot of people around me who said, "Have you gone barking mad?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because I've had lots of roles in sport, but I've only ever had one mission. And my mission is a really simple one. I want to change lives for the better, in sport and through sport. And for me, football is one of the most powerful grounds we have to change lives. And yes, I'll come and do the job, Martin, 3 days a week, ha ha. Working from home, ha ha ha. No, don't stick me on any boards or anything. I don't want to do any of that. And how many boards am I on now? I can't even count. So I came along to do the job I'm now doing. But one of the things that I soon recognised when I started 6.5 years ago is that, like all sports, these sports of ours were built on the back of individuals who, in a way, were our suffragettes, I think, in football. You know, when I look back, we had women's football in the 20s in the First World War. We then banned it, the FA banned it for 50 years. And then in the 70s, these pioneers, these women decided, "Blow you, we're going to play this game." And they were like suffragettes. They didn't tie themselves to the railings, they tied themselves to the goalposts. And they brought that game back with immense passion and commitment for the game. And you may be interested to know that during the camp leading up to the Euros, we invited those legends back in to talk to our players. Because it's really important we don't forget that heritage. We don't forget what the women's game's been built on. It's been built on individuals who fought very hard against prejudice and discrimination to be successful. And these girls have a slightly easier route, but many of them also have had the battles to get to where they are. And we don't ever want to lose that, because that's such an important part of our history. So when I first spoke to the FA board, I was asked what was I intending to do. And I said, well, I'm going to describe it in really simple terms. The men's game is like an oak tree. It's massive, strong, it's sturdy, it's been there for a long time. It stands out in the wood because it's such a powerful looking tree. The women's game is a sapling sitting under that oak tree. And my job is to dig it up and move it out into its own light and decide what kind of tree it wants to be. Because it might not want to be an oak tree. There are many things to learn from the oak tree, but it doesn't necessarily want to be an oak tree. So that's what we've done. We've dug it up, we've put it in its own light, we've shone the light on it, and we've begun to make the change. And I think when Martin first employed me, he gave me 3 simple tasks that he wanted me to do. Double participation, double the fan base, and win a major tournament. I thought, well, what I was going to do on Tuesdays, but anyway, the reality was we set about doing that. Doubling the participation we've achieved, but we're not where we want to be. We want to make sure any girl who wants to play this game, whether it's in school or club or in the community, can do so. So we're on a journey. We're in 15,000 schools now. We've got our clubs moving forward massively, and we're on the journey to make it an opportunity for every girl to play our national game. It's important that they do. Whether they go on to play for the Lionesses, whether they play for fun, whether they simply become fans and enjoy the game, or whether they want to be coaches or referees, or like me, sit in boardrooms, that they should have that opportunity. It's really important. And I do occasionally have to remind people that 51% of our population are female. Secondly, building the fan base. Well, again, 87,000 people plus turned up at Wembley. Have we doubled the fan base? We have certainly doubled, trebled, quadrupled the eyes on the game, thanks to the massive broadcast deals we've had, and in particular to the great work the BBC did over the Euros. Now we've got to convert that into people who go through the gates. I'm sitting next to Vinay, and Arsenal have done an amazing job for the women's game over many years. And he's sitting next to me excited because next Saturday, 50,000 people hopefully will show up to watch Arsenal play. Paid, not given tickets, but turned up and paid to watch the game. So we need to convert all those people that got so excited in the summer into regular viewing. But winning a major tournament, and my years at UK Sport with some of the greatest performance directors I've ever had the privilege to work with, showed me what elite sport was. And it's not a short journey, it's a longish journey. 6 to 8 years of really crafting the vision, crafting the people who are on the journey, and then, of course, bringing in the greatest coach you can find. So what we've done for England is not possible without our clubs. And what our clubs do is not possible without this huge marketing that England does. We have to do this together. We're making huge progress, but we've got so much more to achieve and so much more to do. We turned our game to a professional, full-time professional league in 2018. Why was that important? The product on the field had to get stronger. It had to be better. We had to drive standards. We had to improve performance. Something I learned with Dave Brailsford at Cycling and some of the strategies he employed to drive up that performance standard. We had to make sure that as we drove up that standard, we also filled that back of room, back of house, with people who were world class, sports psychologists, physiologists, physiotherapists, doctors, analysts who were the best in the business. A coach alone does not do this anymore. This is a team sport in every single way. It's not just a team on the field, it's a massive team off the field. And one of Sarina's great skills is her vision that it's one team, one team. Sooner have somebody who's not the world-class best if they can't work as a team. And you could see that. You could see it in the way they conducted themselves. You could see it in the players. Times when we went behind, the belief that we together can do this was absolutely tangible. It was remarkable. So we've arrived at the Euros. 6 years of effort, 6 years of building a back room, and thank goodness for Sarina. Probably, when we interviewed her, unquestionably, technically, tactically, world-class. What we didn't realise was she was a world-class human being too. Absolutely remarkable woman. If you want to know what leadership is, you watch her. She is incredible. Leadership for her is not standing, screaming and shouting in the technical area. Very rarely do you see her there. Leadership is about engaging with every individual and getting them to work for one another. We were talking about the players who were there in the 23 who never got on the pitch. Did you see their joy when we won? Did you see their engagement? That is brilliant leadership. That isn't just engaging with those who will deliver for you, it's engaging with those who make it possible. And she is remarkable. One of the most remarkable people I've ever been around. And what's wonderful about her is she's completely humble. She doesn't know she's remarkable, which makes her even more remarkable. So we get to the Euros, and what did we learn? Well, I guess we learned what kind of tree we want to be. And it's different. Rules are the same, game is different. And what we saw was a brilliant event run by the team at the FA who worked with UEFA, led by Chris Bryant. Absolutely, I felt sorry for Chris really, because the fact the team won, everybody took their eye off the fact the tournament was awesome. And Chris did an absolutely fantastic job. But we saw great players who were competitive, combative, occasionally with Jill Scott a little bit verbal, but they wanted to win. And what people saw were not people rolling on the floor. They saw people being kicked, getting up, getting on with it. They didn't see a lot of arguing with the referee. They saw these authentic, brilliant women. That's why they engaged with the audience. That's why they loved them, because they were real, they were relatable. There were people like the one girl next door. They got it, they understood it. And it was a remarkable moment for me, watching, particularly the semi-final in Sheffield, where we beat Sweden 4-0, and Roos did that funny back heel. I think there are people still in Sheffield standing in that stadium. An hour after the game, they hadn't left. Why hadn't they not left? Because the players were still on the pitch. Because together, there was something going on there. The women's game attracts a different kind of fan. It gives real opportunity for this brand to reach new people, for this brand to speak to a different audience in a different way. That's what the women's game gives us. And the BBC, what an awesome job did they do for us. I mean, incredible. Every game on, every game visible. So we've come a long way in the last 30, 40, 50 years that women's football has been back on the agenda for women. Over the last 6 or 7 years, I've been so privileged to be part of that journey. But we've still got a long way to go. And I hope that those of you in the room who enjoyed the women's game will continue to support it in whatever way you can, will come to games. And just to finish with the story which I'm sure you've heard, we have the USA game on Friday, October the 5th, I think, if my memory serves me right, at Wembley. We went on sale on a Thursday at lunchtime. We had 135,000 people within 2 hours trying to buy a ticket. We sold out by tea time. 90,000 tickets. It's never happened. So don't ask me what kind of tree, but I know deep in my heart that it will be a strong, vibrant, brilliant demonstration of all that's best in women's sport. Thank you very much indeed.
Wow, that was amazing.